Rory Sloane, is he okay? He didn't train this morning, he had a bit of a bandage on his leg, so is he going to play against Collingwood?
No, he's right to go.
What was the issue with him?
Just a little bit tight, didn't want to train 2 days in a row, but no, he's fine to go. Yeah, no worries.
Phil, how confident are you that you can replicate that round 1 performance tomorrow night?
That's the unknown. That's the great thing about footy. Like, it's the AFL, but the reality is there's 9 teams in Melbourne. It's a very Melbourne-centric competition. 3/4 of the media industry comes out of Melbourne. Unless you get the job done in Melbourne, they don't rate you. So what greater opportunity than Collingwood at Etihad on Saturday night? We're really looking forward to it.
And how big is that challenge? Oh, you guys are hot favourites, which is unusual for an Adelaide team playing Collingwood in Melbourne. How big is the challenge? How do you rate the Pies?
Look, they're all great challenges. I'm on record as saying there's going to be a really close competition this year. I watched Collingwood last week against Brisbane. I thought they were terrific. The contested ball between both teams will be a critical stat on Saturday night. We can't wait.
The Crows are a bit up and down with their form last season. How do you keep that consistent performance this year?
Yeah, I don't look back to last year. This is a new team as far as I'm concerned. It's a new season. We're embracing it. We're ready to go. We're well prepared. I'm expecting to play well.
How do you keep this team this year consistent throughout the performances?
Well, it's one. I've only really had one go, so we'll front up and deal with those issues if they arise.
You fly with all 3 emergencies today, or?
No. Brodie Martin will come across as the travelling emergency.
So you said James Potts-Adley's role. You've got something in mind for him. He played in defence last week in the centre. Do you see him as sort of a more of a mentoring role this year? I mean, do you see him playing a lot of AFL footy still?
No, I still think that Pods has got some roles to play for the club. Will it be every week? No. It's round 1. Let's just wait for the season to get going. I've been really happy with what Pods has done so far. At this point in time, though, I'm happy to go with Cole Hartigan down back and at Josh Jenkins up forward. They're probably the 2 spots I'm looking to use Pods, though, at some stage.
What is Scott Thompson not even an emergency? Is that a measure of how far away he is from selection, or is it just you want to give him a full game back here in Adelaide, so why bother picking him, or something else?
No, Scott Thompson's an important player for us. He's been a great player for the footy club. I'm probably a coach who likes all my players to play 2 practice games. Scott's probably a little bit of an exception because of his experience. I thought he was really good last week, but again, it's round 1. I was really happy with the guys who played, so we'll give Scott 1 more game at the State League.
What about the change that you made? Was that something you agonised over, or were you just pretty keen to get Lions full run?
Yeah, just that. So I thought Jared was really good as the sub, came on, played about a quarter and a bit, had 10 possessions, did what we asked, but ultimately I'd like to see him play a full game, so that's the reason for that change.
Do you have a set philosophy on the sub? What sort of player are you looking for there?
Oh, I do a little bit, but I remember I was at West Coast. I think we played Andrew Gath something like 5 games straight as the sub, and it was a really good journey for him just to come into AFL football as a young player. But it's a little bit different, you know. Every week presents a different sort of set of circumstances, and again, the sub that we choose tomorrow will probably suit a certain thing against Collingwood.
Players that are chosen as sub, like we mentioned Gath, Lions last year, those guys that are sub often say that it hampers their form, and if they don't like it. Do you take that into account?
Yeah, look, and again, I'm not on a crusade. It's a bit like my comments on interchange. I'm not a big fan of the sub. We actually don't call him the sub, okay, at Adelaide. We call him something else. I won't tell you that, because I don't like the feeling of it. It's a little bit like the player's alienated. He's not actually part of your team, and I know the AFL are looking at that.
How different is this challenge of beating Collingwood on the road to beating North Melbourne at the Oval?
Yeah, as soon as you get on a plane and travel, you're at a disadvantage. But we're a club who want to be able to perform anywhere, any venue, any time. And like I said, a great opportunity to show the people in Melbourne what the Adelaide Crows can do this year.
Previous coaching you've had, Phil, you've been based in sides that have had to travel. Is there anything you've taken from them, West Coast and Port, to instill with the Crows?
Yeah, absolutely. West Coast invest a lot of time into travel, and I've learned a lot of things that I've already put in place here in Adelaide around that. But you've got to experience the trip to Perth every second week to understand how draining it is. It's a really big impasse. Now, it works the other way, which means teams have to travel to play you, so it's an advantage in that regard. But it is really difficult for the 2 Perth teams.
What sort of things have you done with the Crows?
I don't want to tell you too many things, obviously, but there's a fair bit that West Coast invested around sleep and even little things about timing of meeting that I've been able to use here at Adelaide.
Your defensive pressure was hailing during the week for what you did against Melbourne. That was only taking you one game to do that. How long before you actually get them to do exactly what you want them to do?
Look, I'd like to think, Andrew, that the 3 games in the NAB we showed for periods in games we were able to do it. I was really happy probably in round 1, other than that first 10 minutes of the third quarter. Can you do that in a whole game of AFL footy? It's really difficult. Do we want to? Yes, we're going to be trying to do that. Will it take more training, more coaching? Maybe. But I'm really happy with the buy-in I've had from this group.
Who's the biggest threats at Collingwood?
Look, they've got a great on-ball group still for mine. Adams, Pendlebury and Swan, with a really young ruckman that I rate in Grundy. That'll really be the battle within itself. And then they've got Travis Cloak. So they're the areas where we have to do really well tomorrow night.
Mark Rasciuto spoke during the week that he was 50-50 on whether Danger stays or goes, and he wants an answer, hoping for an answer by mid-season. Is that something that you'll request from Danger, or?
Yeah, look, I think I've answered the Dangerfield question. I got no real comment on it other than what I've said previously.